It's always nice when I have company. So today we're going to continue on. We're doing two chapters today from Sheriff in a Small Town, and the first chapter is accessories. Talbot and Joe were sitting in the kitchen table working out an idea. Talbot was rocking in a seat in a very good humor. It's got to be perfect. I have to bring the squad car in tomorrow for an oil change. You can do the job then. Joe was non-committal. Yeah, I can do it, but I don't want to get Rocky mad at me. He ain't going to get mad. If he does, I'll take the blame. After all, it was my idea. Kayla came in and kissed Talbot. One of these days, these pranks of yours are going to get you in trouble. Talbot shrugged. Maybe, but this one we just got to do. He handed Joe a speaker and a cassette player with a pre-recorded cassette. Joe pocketed the items and left the items for installation. He was silently praying that he didn't get arrested for what Talbot had convinced him to do. Talbot brought in the squad car and handed over the keys. Rocky was alarmed because they were going to go across the street for a corned beef sandwich while they waited. It'll be a little over an hour. My lift's busted and I've got to climb under. Rocky was looking around. Hey, why are the windows boarded up? Someone throw rocks or something? Joe's voice cracked a little when he answered. He wasn't a good liar and had practiced his answer all morning. I'm replacing the panels. The old ones are starting to get stressed from all the raising and lowering. Rocky accepted this as a fact, and they went out. At the door, Rocky promised to bring Joe a sandwich when they returned. Joe locked the shop as soon as they left. He raised the squad car and began installation of the speaker and player. That was the simple part. The hard part was installing a patch panel and connecting all the buttons on the dashboard to it. He was halfway finished when he realized the trouble he could get into doing this to a sheriff's car. Well, it didn't belong to Rocky or Talbot, but was a county vehicle. He removed everything twice as fast as he had installed it and shoved it all into a cabinet. Talbot arrived first, and Joe explained that he couldn't do the job. Talbot was disappointed, but he admitted he was right. Tell you what, Rocky's finishing his lunch with Agnes. She's going to bring over their truck for an oil change. You think he can do it to that? Joe high-fived Talbot. Oh, that's going to be a piece of cake. This is going to be great. He brought the car down off the lift and had it waiting by the time Rocky and Agnes arrived. When he handed Rocky the keys, he again apologized for the time it took. Agnes handed him over a sandwich and the keys for the truck. He entered the truck to pull it into the bay. When he had the truck aligned and ready, she asked him to eat first and work after, saying she'd take a walk around town for a couple of hours. Well, that suited Joe just perfect. He thanked her and escorted her out. Locking the door, he prepared for the prank of a lifetime. The oil change was simple, and while the oil drained, he took a piece of rubber and stretched it across the tailpipe. Held in place with a hose clamp, it would vibrate when Rocky accelerated, making a rasping sound. Attaching wires from the fuses to the dashboard, he set up the truck so that almost every button and switch would activate a different sound. By the time Agnes returned, he was finished with the truck and the sandwich. She started the engine and remarked how smooth the truck sounded now. Backing out of the bay, she headed for home. Relaxing, she decided to test out the engine. She hit the accelerator. As soon as the truck passed 30 miles per hour, it began to make rude posterior noises. She slowed immediately and the noise went away. Accelerating again, the sound of farting returned and increased in pitch as she went faster. Slowed down and went at a crawl. Driving slowly was going to deeper ever before she got home. Turned on the lights. Over the speaker somewhere came the song Blinded by the Light. She couldn't turn it off unless she turned off the headlights. Curious now, she pushed in the cigarette lighter. Come on, baby, light my fire. Took the place of Blinded by the Light. She tried the windshield wipers and the song changed to It's Raining Again. She laughed and decided to go see Rocky. She'd have him discover the changes Joe had magically accomplished. She looked, I'm going to have one of those days. One moment. She looked around the cab, eager to find anything else that might have been changed. Nothing else was obvious, but she knew Joe wouldn't stop at that. A gleam in her eye shone as she reached over to open the glove box. As it opened, she heard, "Hey, shut the door!" loudly over the speaker. She pulled over. Standing beside the truck, she looked all over. She opened the gas cap door, which let out a long belch. She popped the hood, and the car said, "Ah," just like a patient at the doctor's. She was enjoying this. She got in the cab, started the engine, and drove carefully to the courthouse. She was excited to see Rocky's reaction. Driving, she realized she hadn't tried the horn. She pushed, and the truck began to fake curse in Donald Duck's voice. She began to laugh so hard she had to pull over once more before she wrecked the truck. Passing someone on the edge of Main Street who was walking in the street, she hit the horn. The sound of Donald Duck cussing him out made him leap to the sidewalk. As she drove, she thought, "What the hell?" And then, she thought, "What the hell?" And accelerated, slowed, accelerated, slowed, and the truck emitted fart after fart. People walked past, were staring at her, and she drove. She rolled down the window and yelled up, "Sorry, I just filled up. It's got gas." She parked in front of the courthouse just as Rocky was coming out, ready to go home. Perfect timing. She got out and let Rocky drive them home. Rocky settled comfortably in the seat and turned around for home. Agnes informed him that Mary was with Julia and they might want to head there first. Rocky was driving a sedate 25 miles per hour, and Agnes was getting frustrated. "Rocky, can't you go a little faster? You're driving like an old man." Well, that got him, and he pushed the pedal down. The rasping sound made him look at the rear seat in alarm. "You okay?" "Wasn't me," she laughed. Rocky accelerated to the accompaniment of the same sound. Agnes was laughing so hard she had tears dripping down her cheeks. "Rocky, can you please get me a tissue?" Rocky opened the glove compartment. The announcement was different. A female voice called out this time, "Shut the door! I'm dressing!" Rocky got a tissue and passed it back with eyes wide. "The heck did Joe do to our truck?" Agnes stabbed her eyes. "Plenty. Play around with the knobs and switches and see." Like Agnes, Rocky tried every button, switch, compartment, and door. Laughing at all the sounds, he came to a conclusion. "Well, I'll bet Talbot put him up to this one. I've got to say, this one's the best effort yet. I think we'll keep it like this." Pulled over and discovered the rubber on the tailpipe. Bringing it inside, he remarked, "This, I think we can do without." From then on, whenever someone needed a lift, they were entertained with the magic truck. They gave Joe full credit for the additions, and Joe was suddenly branching out to enhance people's vehicles, mostly to the teens who wanted something different. That was confused. He hadn't expected Rocky to actually like what they had done to his truck. To make matters more confusing, now Joe was being asked to change lots of people's cars. He was making buku bucks off this idea. He felt as if he was being, I don't know, cheated somehow. That is, until Joe turned up with a decent-sized check for half the profits. He sat at the kitchen table and sulked. His biggest prank yet, and it was a bust. Michaela came up behind him and kissed him. When he didn't respond, she put her hands on his back. All of a sudden, he felt a tingle and buzz. She enjoyed his buzzard, and he chased her around the house with her peals of laughter, bringing his sense of humor back to the surface. Catching her, he held her close and kissed her tenderly. Another day would come, and another spectacular prank would soon occur to him. Okay, we're doing two today, so the next one is Frozen Wasteland. That's a little bit longer, so we'll be able to make some time with that one. Mayor Lucas was seated at the head of the table in the Civic Council building. On his right was Morgan, and on his left was Rocky. The rest of the chairs were filled with the town department heads. The mayor held up the paper for all to see. The headline declared, "Huge snowstorm headed our way." Saving the headline with his finger, shouted at them, "We're a couple of days away from imminent disaster. What I want from you is a plan." Morgan bridled under the insinuation that they didn't have one. "Mayor, we have a plan already in place." Morgan was opening his continuity book to the tab marked weather and some marked by type. "Mayor, conversation away. Morgan, we all know about your wonderful book, but damn it, man, this is bigger than anything we've ever encountered. What can we do to keep functioning when it hits? Morgan reluctantly closed his book as the mayor pointed to each person in turn. Snow removal. How we thick for trucks if it comes in thick and fast? Well, sir, we have three trucks all allotted, but one is down for a major refit on the shovel. You wanted more maneuverability so it would angle, raise, and lower. Well, that was over a month ago. Isn't it back yet? No, sir, they're backed up, and we're pretty far back in line. I'd go get it and use it, but they already have the plow portion dismantled. They're lining them up and working on the line. Dismantle first, and then they'll get all the new works in. Why'd you just take it to the mechanic in town? I hear he's pretty good. Man was working hard to control his temper. Sir, you wouldn't let us take it to him. Said he was a small town mechanic and wouldn't know anything about this high-tech machinery. So we're down to two trucks. What the hell are we going to do to them? The man was nearing breaking point. Sir, we have volunteers lined up, so we'll be plowing around the clock. We can get up to the farm areas, but not further. We'll have to hope the county will handle those. For the most part, the farms are self-sufficient and should be good for a week or so. Rocky spoke up. Well, if the lines hold, they can call in, and I or Deputy Talbot will bring out anything they need. And what if the roads aren't clear? How do we get things to them then? Rocky is ready with an answer. Sir, the sheriff's office has already purchased skis and snowshoes for emergencies. May take a while, but it'll work out to get some of them more inaccessible areas. As for the third truck, the town will pay for the labor. Mark told me they have an extra truck shovel. Joe can install it in an hour, and they can use my truck for the duration. Mayor pointed to the secretary and asked him to write that down. Civil engineering spoke up. Well, sir, we can't guarantee the power will remain for the duration. We'll be driving around as much as possible, checking lines and monitoring for overloads. If anything does go down, we can have power restored in 2 hours. We've had monthly practice drills for summer and winter emergencies. Mayor Lucas nodded. Fire Chief Stewart, what's the plan for a fire? Well, sir, we have to rely on others to clear the roads and get us there, but all the fire plugs have been fitted with flags on thick wire that should still be visible no matter how high the snow gets. Shovels are in the truck, and we'll have to dig out access. We also have done practice drills, and we can have access to water in less than 2 minutes. Mayor relaxed in his chair. Well, seems to me you folks have things well in hand. Guess I can head to Florida with a clear conscience. Morgan's head snapped towards the mayor. Sir, you're just going to leave when we have an emergency on our hands? Mayor spread his arms out. Well, what could I do in an emergency? I and the people of this town rely on you folks to keep them going. You've got everything under control, so I don't feel there's any reason to cancel my trip. He got up, stretched, waved goodbye. One by one, people left except for Morgan and Rocky. As the roads man was leaving, Rocky handed over the keys to his truck for the shovel installation. Rocky could see that Morgan was burning inside. You know, Dad, maybe you ought to run for mayor next election. Can't see you running out when an emergency arises. You'd be running around checking on everything and ensuring everyone's being taken care of. Morgan suddenly looked weary, as if his age was finally catching up with him. Hell, son, I would if this. I truly would, but damn it, I'm an old man. I want to relax and take it easy. Seems like every time I try to retire, someone pushed me back in the saddle. Puts a bit between my teeth. Hell, I can't keep this up. Rocky was worried. He never heard Morgan talk about his age. It was as if somehow it didn't. It was immaterial. Dad, Morgan held up a hand. Rocky, I've just gotten married. I retired at least 3 times already and kept having to get back to working. Hell, I don't need the money. We got plenty to get by on and do anything we want to. What I am lacking is time. Time with my wife, family, and friends. Hell, Rocky, can you blame me? As soon as this storm is over, I'm resigning. Everything they need is in the book, and Josh knows it cover to cover. I've got them going, so it's time for me to go too. Morgan was looking at Rocky as if he was asking his permission. Kind of made Rocky feel uncomfortable. For some reason, Morgan wanted or perhaps even needed Rocky's approval. That Rocky needed his father-in-law's approval just as much. Mutual respect ran both ways. Rocky nodded, understanding. He did too. Morgan had given almost all his life to the town. He needed to retire and enjoy life while he could. Sound would go on. He got up and crossed over to Morgan. Morgan held out his hand to shake Rocky's. Rocky slapped it away and hugged him. Morgan looked up sheepishly. But I got to get back to work. See you later, Rock. Rocky headed back to the courthouse, deep in thought. As he approached the door, he heard a clump clump as if someone was walking in huge boots. Opening up, he saw Talbot was practicing walking with snowshoes. Well, you know, Rocky, these aren't so bad once you get used to them. Rocky came in and sat behind the desk. He felt depressed for some reason. Alvin knew from long experience that when this kind of mood was on, Rocky was best left alone. Suddenly, Rocky burst out laughing so hard he had tears in his eyes and was slapping the desk. He picked up the phone. Joe, did they bring my truck in? Great. Did they say anything was odd about the truck? Good. Were you going to remove the stuff you added? Don't. Leave it in. They're going to spend a lot of time in the trucks, and those additions will keep them from use. Oh, yeah, if you've got some more you can add on to it, yeah, I'll pay for the additional gadgets. Let me know how much when you get it figured out. Rocky grinned to Talbot. I'm letting them use my truck for snow plowing. Joe's installing a shovel in front. So far, they don't know about all the stuff you two did to it. When they get inside and they start hitting buttons, it's going to be hysterical. Joe's got some additional stuff he's going to do, so I'll get it back even better. Talbot laughed at the thought of the plowing being done with Rocky's truck. Hell, I bet people are going to be begging us to plow with it. Rocky agreed. Talbot, we're going to be working long, hard hours, so until the snow starts in earnest, let's take some time to relax and be with family. Talbot dove into the back room and emerged with his coat on and his gun in the safe. See ya! He bolted out the door. Rocky picked up the phone. Hey, Agnes, is Mary asleep? Good. Get both of yourselves dressed up and we'll go out to eat somewhere. Somewhere nice. Unless you already got something on the going, that is. You done? Great. How long before I can pick you up? Oh, I'll be driving the squad car. My truck's being used by the town for snow removal. Okay, see you in 5. On the way home from the restaurant in the next town, the snow began to fall. A light flurry, but with the promise of bigger things to come. Rocky lay in bed holding Agnes tight. He was pretty sure it was going to be a while before he could do it again. In the morning, Agnes fed him a huge, sustaining breakfast and packed a lunch for him. She kissed him goodbye and held Mary up to him. Rocky looked sadly at them both. The wrench when he was separated for more than the time for working was as fresh now as when they had gotten married. Trying to work, he saw the snow had covered everything in an inch-thick blanket. Snow was coming down so hard he had to drive at a walking pace. Things were going to build up fast. It was only a matter of time before the snowplows got behind. He could see people already out shoveling sidewalks and driveways, but most had given up pretty quick. Rocky parked the car in back and went into the courthouse. Talbot's car was already there with a cover over it. It seemed as though Talbot was figuring on staying in the courthouse for the duration as well. He sat with a cup of coffee and watched the snow falling outside. Beside the door were the skis and snowshoes. The door opened and both managers of the co-op and the general store came in. Well, here's the keys for our places. Anything you need, just go ahead and take. Hey, do me a favor. Remember to write it down, though. The council says they'll reimburse us for whatever you take. Two men saluted the forces of the law, didn't about turn, and went home to sit out the storm. Rocky and Talbot were alone, waiting for a call to action. Rocky grabbed the shovel and headed out to clean the area in front of the courthouse. Half an hour later, he came in shaking his head. Well, by the time I get to the end of our sidewalk to the other end, has filled up again. We'll have to do it once in a while, or we won't be able to open the door. Talbot agreed and figured they would have to go out every couple of hours. The sound of the snowplows beginning their task started about 7 in the evening. Rocky and Talbot hadn't had a call and figured that it probably wouldn't until things got worse. Most folks had stocked up with essentials. About the only thing they expected to be called out for was baby formula and maybe diapers. Talbot took the first rest and was asleep in the back. Rocky did a walk around town. Plows were doing a good job, but as soon as they finished one street and moved to the next, they completed one soon filled back up. Houses were beginning to go dark and people were going to sleep. In the distance, he heard the sound of someone chopping firewood. The snow on the sidewalk was up to his knees. He pushed through back to the courthouse and shoveled the walk. He realized he was fighting a losing battle, but so long as there was a possibility of being called out, it would get done. It was 3 in the morning when the call came in. A sleepy child was on the other line. My mama needs help. All right, honey, what's your name? Caroline Murphy. Oh, is your mama sick? No, she's on the potty. Rocky paused, a little confused. Well, what kind of help does your mom need? Over the line, he heard the girl asking her mom. Faintly, he heard her answering from the confines of the bathroom. Tell them I need toilet paper. We've been checking her out. The little girl took a deep breath. Mama said, Rocky interrupted her. I heard. I'll be over in a few minutes. The girl went and told her mother without hanging up the phone. Let me get a drink real quick. Rocky, Rocky got dressed warmly, went to the general store, picked up the essential supplies, wrote it in the notebook, and headed to the Murphys' home. He knocked on the door and waited for the little girl to open the door. The mail slot opened and he saw a pair of eyes peeping through. I'm not allowed to open the door. Rocky scratched his head. Well, I can't give you what your mom needs if you don't. But I'm allowed to. She began to cry. All right, don't cry. I'll think of something. He walked around the outside of the house. The snow was hip deep where it had blown against the house. At the side, he found the bathroom window. Knocking, he called out that help was at hand. The window opened and he passed the paper through. Thanks, sorry to call you out for something like this. The voice was soft and obviously embarrassed. Don't worry, that's what we're here for. Have a good night. The window closed and Rocky went back to the courthouse. Walking back in the street, he saw his truck plowing. As it passed him, the driver hit the horn and the sound of Donald Duck cursing made them both the driver and Rocky laugh. The driver rolled down the window. There's a list a mile long of people wanting to use this truck to plow. It's helping keep us sane. Thanks for letting us use it. He hit the horn again and drove off. Rocky grinned at the way things were turning out. Talbot Joe's big joke was a big hit. Returning, he noticed that Talbot's coat was missing. No one's desk informed him that he had taken a bag of oats to horse. Several more smoke calls had helped pass the time. Morning arrived, crisp and with the snow still falling. Dr. Logan dropped in at 5. Heard you were here for emergency runs. I tried to get to the Lidl's farm, but the road's not cleared towards their place, and I can't make it walking. Jack's out of his insulin and needles, and he's got to have it. Can you see if you can deliver it? Rocky left for the door. I'm on it, Doc. Don't worry. He'll get his medicine. He threw the skis and snowshoes into the squad car and drove as fast as he could. Reaching the block road that led to the farm, he saw that the county plows hadn't gotten out this far yet. He found an area where he could park and be out of the way of the plows. He left the emergency lights on and strapped on the skis. Neither he nor Talbot had any experience on skiing, and except for strapping them on in the courthouse, had never worn them. The long skis allowed him to remain above the snow, but he had no way to push off with the poles. He tried walking, but the skis tripped him and he fell. He went back to the car and got the snowshoes. He thought skis would be faster, but I found out different. The snowshoes worked, and he was able to go at a fairly decent pace. In the distance, he saw the smoke rising from the Beatles' home. Pushing through the storm, he kept the chimney smoke in sight. He couldn't see anything of the house or barns, although a little of the weathercock was visible. Approaching over a hill, he saw the farm a short distance away. Between himself and the door was a large pile of snow. Grabbing a shovel from the barn, he dug out the door and walked, or knocked. Getting no response, he tried the knob. Looking in, he called out that he was there. He looked around and found Luke Weedle sitting on the ground. He seemed weak, lethargic, confused. Like he didn't know a lot about diabetes and wasn't sure what he should do. He called Dr. Logan for instructions. Fortunately, he had waited in his office for the call. He instructed Rocky to inject a minimal dose of insulin, give him water, and keep an eye on him. Rocky looked around for whatever Luke used to test his blood. Finding the tester, he checked the blood sugar. 460. Rocky waited 20 minutes before checking it again. Second reading was 440. The sugar was coming down. Dr. Logan asked him to stay with Luke until the sugar was about 130. It took a couple of hours for Luke to come round to himself. Rocky fixed him a light breakfast of proteins. He had to carry Luke to the chair since he was so weak. When Luke ate, his strength slowly returned. He thanked Rocky for his help and regretted that he had to send the sheriff back into the storm. Rocky grinned, explaining that he was finding walking on snowshoes a lot of fun. He eventually returned to the office. Talbot had done a hell of a job on the sidewalk as well as on the path from the back lot to the rear door. A space was cleared for the squad car, and Rocky was able to get inside with minimal effort. Sorry that stay out so long. Luke was in a bad way. Talbot rubbed the weariness from his eyes. Yeah, I had a few more calls too. The sound of Rocky's horn outside made them rush to the door. Opening the door, they were greeted by Agnes and Michaela and the babies exiting from the truck. Come inside. We were bored and missed you, so we thought we'd bring some food. Joe was driving and brought in two enormous hampers. Joe came to check on us, Dad and Julia. Joe, can you stay for something to eat? Joe was tempted, but with the snow coming down, so he thought he'd better keep on the job. Cable opened the hamper and handed over some sandwiches wrapped in a napkin, and Agnes passed over a thermos of coffee. Joe's eyes got wide when he accepted the meal. Thanks, the other guys have been going home for meals. I hate going home. It's too quiet. Would you folks mind if I stopped off for a bit after my shift? Talbot was delighted. Come on by anytime. Agnes was looking speculatively at Joe as he left. Rocky grinned. Well, who have you got in mind to fix Joe up with? Remember Peggy Porter at the picnic? Ever since she heard him singing, she's been making cow eyes at him every time he passes her. I think we'll invite them both to supper when the snow finishes. Rocky began to empty one of the hampers, shaking, shaking his head. No, dang it. Agnes just couldn't bear to have someone single, especially a friend of the family like Joe. A loud crash was heard outside and the sound of a falling telephone pole. Rocky and Talbot rushed outside. One of the plows had skidded into Joe and pushed Rocky's truck onto the sidewalk and into a pole. The pole had fallen onto the cab and they feared the worst. Agnes was already on the phone to the hospital. Rocky and Talbot opened the driver's side door and Joe slumped out into their arms. He was bleeding from his head and his legs were held tight by the dashboard. Joe rushed back for the first aid kit. Came back with Michaela while Agnes stayed on the phone and watched the children. Rocky was digging in the back seat for his jack. Fortunately, it was a good sturdy plate unit and he was able to use it to crank the dashboard up enough to free Joe's legs. Joe was conscious and apologizing for wrecking Rocky's truck. Joe grunted as he tried to gain a couple of more inches for space for Joe. Don't worry about the damn truck. It can be replaced. You can't be. Michaela placed a blanket over Joe. The windshield was fractured and pieces were beginning to fall on inside the cab. All the time they were working to free Joe, the horn was infested, and the horn was cussing up a storm. The ambulance and fire truck arrived and took over. Joe was slowly extricated and placed onto a stretcher, transported in the ambulance, and driven slowly to the hospital. There wasn't much they could do about Rocky's truck but wait. But take pictures and wait for the snow to clear or stop enough they could drag it behind the courthouse. Rocky accompanied Joe to the hospital to make sure he was all right. When he came back from the hospital, he was in very good humor. Agnes made him a plate. Is Joe going to be in the hospital long? Yeah, they got his legs in a sling and he's going to be just fine. He's got a nurse that seems to be keeping a pretty good close eye on him. Peggy, and when he came in, she immediately took over his care. Agnes almost dropped the plate. I was just thinking about getting them together, but I didn't know where to find her. Did he seem smitten with her? I stared at Agnes. I didn't know anybody used the word smitten anymore. Agnes just shrugged. Once the meal was over and cleared away, they sat around playing cards and hoping the phone wouldn't ring. Around midnight, the snow stopped, and when Rocky put the radio on, it stated that the snowstorm had ended. Talbot put the baskets into the squad car and figured on driving the ladies home. Rocky forwarded the phone to his home and said he'd take any calls that came in. The blizzard response team was almost finished for the night. All right, so that's it for tonight. Let's see if we're going to do 2 chapters next time. No, we'll just be doing one. So that'll be the party time. It's going to be a fun one. Well, I like these also. Anyways, that's it for today. I look forward to seeing you again on our next reading. And that will be, so that'll be Tuesday, the 15th, 16th, 17th. That'll be Tuesday. Anyway. So that's it for today. Thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday. Hope you'll be here. Be good and be good to yourself.